Welcome back to another episode of Raul's World of Synths. I am Raul. If you were with us last time, you saw us kind of jump into some basic modulation of the A125 voltage-controlled phase shifter that you see here kind of towards the center. We kind of did some modulation using the A146 over here on the left, and then also a little bit of modulation using our envelope generator, which is down at the bottom. You can kind of see over there on the far right. Let me just kind of point to it over here, right there. Now, in this segment, we're still going to do a little bit of modulation, but we're going to use some different sources here. We're going to be mostly involved this time around with the A148 right here, dual sample and hold, and then we're also going to be doing a little bit of modulation with the A118 noise module. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. And let's see, we were going to get our sound source again. And then we'll start out with that. So let's plug that in. There we go. And let's start with just a little bit of random modulation here. So I'm going to take the random output here. And I'm just going to go right into the CV input right here. If I want to enhance that a little bit level-wise, I can bring this level up right there. Now, I like that level of effect going in here, but it's going a little bit fast, so let me adjust the rate a little bit. You kind of see a little bit faster effects there. It's maybe a little bit erratic to an extent. Very kind of rubbery and bouncy, so let's just try something slow and subtle. And this is a shift setting that I was using from the previous segment, so let's try a different shift setting, maybe midway. So that's a little bit more subtle there. Let's go a little bit further and we'll kind of speed up the rate of random output over here. Okay, so I think you're getting the idea. Now if I wanted to make that even more subtle, I could bring this down here. And on this module, I actually have a few other options too to kind of vary the output. I can kind of adjust the different colors of noise going out. That should give me a slightly different flavor. So there you go. Random. Pretty cool stuff. Let me unpatch that. Okay, now for the second part of the demonstration, I'm actually going to unpatch our sound source right here, because I thought it'd be interesting to kind of hear a different type of sound source, because we've been listening to that kind of synthesizer sound or VCO sound going in there. So I thought we'd get a different take on this. So we're going to take some of the random noise from here. Let's do the white noise, because that's our standard white noise that we're kind of familiar with. So I'm going to patch that into our audio in right here. There we go. just so you can kind of hear what we're kind of playing around with. Now it's a little bit loud, so I do want to kind of bring that level down a little bit before I throw it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually patch it over here to my mixer, and I'm just going to use my mixer as an attenuator. So let me take the output here. I'm just going to go back in here, and I'm just using this as a way I can control the level a little bit. There we go. And let me get a kind of a mid-range level here. There we go. So it's not kind of in your face as much. And now let me just kind of move through some of the shift settings so you can kind of hear them. All right. Now let's go ahead and have a little bit more fun and bring in our dual sample and hold. Now, sample and hold, I need a sample source and a trigger source. I'm just going to use my LFO over here to trigger it. So I'm going to take the pulse right there out, and I'm just going to go into my trigger input right there. And that should be triggering it now, but now I need to sample something. Let's go ahead and... I think when I rehearsed, I actually did a random source, but that's going to be very similar to what we did before. So let's go ahead and try our triangle wave. Hopefully we'll get some decent results. If not, we'll switch back to random output. And I'm just going to go in there and sample that out. There we go. And you can kind of see right there that there is a definite output right there. And I can increase the frequency here. Now it isn't just one polarity, so this might not work out the way I hoped. So I might need to switch, but let's hear what it sounds like first. So here we go, patching in the sample and hold out. And then now let's go over to our phase shifter. Bring up the CV input. All right. Yeah, that's pretty static. Okay, let's try a different sample source. Unpatch the triangle wave. There we go. And then I can use this to adjust when it happens, when it switches from one sample that's going in here to another, or the frequency. And that's kind of an interesting effect in itself. So let's go over and adjust this a little bit. Definitely a different type of sound. Let's increase the frequency a little more. So that's pretty fun. Grab the wrong dial. Let's try the shift again. All right, let's play around with the types of noise going out. See if we can get some different effects. That's definitely a different type of effect right there. Let's try adjusting our shift. Playing with the resonance just a little bit. Adjust the blue noise level. Make my rate a little slower. Maybe bring this down a little. So lots of different types of effects that you can achieve with random. And this is actually sort of another random type modulation source here. However, not identical to something like this. It's actually a little bit different. But of course, you could sample a different type of waveform if you wanted to. All right, so let's unpatch that. And let's see, let's take out our noise. And now let's just bring back our synthesizer sound that we had. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here, patch for my sum output, and let's go back in with our synthesizer type sound. Let's hear what kind of effect this is giving us over here with our sample and hold going in there. So lots of possibilities. So that's going to actually bring us to a close of this entire series here on the A125. We've covered quite a bit of ground throughout the whole series. We did basics in the beginning. We did actually some oscilloscope views of how this module is affecting things. We did a little bit of basic modulation kind of in the last video. And then now we did a little bit different modulation using our sample and hold and random voltage module. So hopefully you found this useful and this gave you an opportunity to hear what these modules sound like with your own 2 ears. Not sure what we're going to have planned going forward in the next video series, but hopefully you'll join us for that. If some of these things kind of seem out of place, or this is the first time you're watching Raul's World of Synths, I do invite you to watch some of the previous videos I've done. I do have a series out there on the A148, on the A118, I believe as well. Of course, all the other videos that I did on the A125. If you have any questions about basics or anything like that on this module, then jump back and kind of watch some of those. In the bottom, I actually talk less about this bottom section than I did in the previous video. But if you have questions about how this works down here, I do invite you to watch some of the videos I have on those as well. Those modules, like the A135, I have a series on that. Let's see, A111, I have not done a series on this, but if you go and watch the A110 series, it might give you an idea of the types of sounds that can be produced with a VCO. And then, of course, over here on the far left, some of this stuff is kind of not visible, but you can see the A154 right here, and then right next to it is the A155. So I do have a series on those as well. Kind of integrated in this patch down here on the bottom, I have the A156 dual quantizer. So I do also have a series on that in case you're curious about how that works as well, or what is kind of creating all of this sort of sound here that you're hearing. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful again, and keep on patching out there.